the future of radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, January 28th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. We know that this is a sad day. We know that we got the news today that legendary actress who has won 3 Emmy Awards, 1 Tony, and 1 Oscar, Miss Cicely Tyson, has passed away at age 96. Legendary actress who broke boundaries, who refused to take stereotypical roles, who was on stage, was in movies, was on TV. Cicely Tyson passed away today. Okay, so we're going to talk about Cicely Tyson. I've been doing some research. We're going to share a recent interview she just did a few days ago. We know her memoir just came out as well. I think it was January 26th. So we'll talk about Cicely Tyson and her legacy. Okay, a lot of people know her from the Tyler Perry movies as well. Tyler Perry introduced Cicely Tyson to a new generation of viewers, a new audience. Okay, and I remember watching Cicely Tyson in the 1970s. I remember seeing her in movies like, I remember Sounder, of course, but I remember seeing her in things like King. That came out in about 78, which was about Dr. King. Okay, it was a made-for-TV movie about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. She portrayed Coretta Scott King. I remember seeing her in the Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, where she played a former slave. It was a fictitious movie made for TV, the Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. We know that she portrayed Kunta Kinte's mother in Roots, okay, which came out in 1977. And just a few days ago was the anniversary of the miniseries Roots debuting on ABC. Okay, I remember when Roots originally aired as well. All right, so we'll talk about Cicely Tyson and her legacy. You can give us a call, 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. If you have a question or comment, 313-778-7600. If you want to tell us about your memories of Cicely Tyson and the impact Cicely Tyson has had on you, okay? And I remember seeing her in Ebony magazine, Jet magazine also. And one thing I remember about Cicely Tyson, her roles or appearances, she always made us proud. She didn't play stereotypical roles. She always made us proud. Okay. So I was reading, on Roland Martin Unfiltered, he talked about that the news came towards the end of his show. He had an extended show today. Hopefully I'll be on the panel tomorrow. Last Friday I was supposed to be on, but got bumped because they did a special show about Hank Aaron passing away. So we'll see what happens here. But nonetheless, we'll talk about it here today. So I've been reading articles from New York Times. We posted one from Hollywood Reporter. That was the first news that I got about it from Hollywood Reporter. I've been looking at different tweets from LeVar Burton, Oprah Winfrey as well. So we're going to share all that with you also. First, I want to go to this. I want to go to this article here from blackpast.org. Okay. I want to start with an African American news source, African American media source, blackpast.org. And BlackPast just has a general write-up about her. This was before she passed away. BlackPast.org has about 6,000 pages dealing with African American history, okay, at blackpast.org. So you can check that out. And on the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his actions or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events and history, politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, to sign up for our email newsletter as well. All right. And then somebody posted also, she portrayed Harriet Tubman in a Woman Called Moses. I think was the name of the movie. I saw that when that came out in the 1970s also, A Woman Called Moses. So so many roles that she portrayed, and she portrayed real life historical figures also, which is hard to do. When people know who the historical figure is, they're constantly comparing you to them. So she portrayed Coretta Scott King, Dr. King's wife. She portrayed Harriet Tubman as well. But also a movie that I didn't hear people talk about today was the Marva Collins story. Okay, the Marva Collins story. I remember her in the Marva Collins story also. Okay, legendary educator, African American female educator. Marva Collins, that came out in 1981, made for TV movie, the Marva Collins story. Okay, so she has a incomparable career. I don't know any. I mean, there's some fantastic actresses, Angela Bassett, of course, things like that. But I don't know really anybody that's been doing it as long and consistently as Cicely Tyson. Okay. All right. I want to try to pull this up here. What do we have here? Do we have the picture? I want to try to pull these pictures up if I can. And well, we may have to do this when we come back from break. But I had some pictures as well here. So we'll see if we can get those. Okay, we'll see. All right. So let's look at, I want to look at her life here. Critically acclaimed actor Cicely Tyson was born in Harlem, New York City, in Harlem, New York. December 19th, 1924. December 19th, 1924. I had to check a number of sources because originally they said 1933 here, but I had to check a number of sources. They said 1924 she was born. She is the daughter of William and Theodosia Tyson. William and Theodosia Tyson. Her father was a carpenter and her mother was a domestic. Her parents were immigrants from St. Kitts and Nevis in the West Indies. Now, right there, it's gonna be some BS that you're gonna hear from some Negroes running their mouth because they found out her parents were immigrants. Like she's not black. Go somewhere else with that nonsense. Study some history. Okay? Her father was a carpenter and her mother was a domestic. Her parents were immigrants from St. Kitts and Nevis in the West Indies. After graduating from Charles Evans High School in Manhattan in 1951, Cicely Tyson landed a position as a secretary for the American Red Cross. Unsatisfied with the work, she enrolled in the Barbara Watson Modeling School to pursue a career in modeling. Okay, she was a very beautiful sister. And it was, I think, really powerful. And you can give us a call, 313-778-7600. I think it was really powerful to see a darker skinned African-American woman who was portraying beauty, and the beauty she was portraying, the standard of beauty she was portraying was different than what was being portrayed by mainstream media. There was a movie she was in. It was like one of her first movies. Um, it was East Side, West Side, East Side, West Side, and in the movie, she has a short afro. Okay, she has a short afro in the movie. Okay, now this was like 1969 or something like that. All right, afros were stylish, but to see a darker skinned African American woman on a TV show like this, okay, portraying this image was, really powerful. Okay, we'll talk about this on the other side of the break. You listen to you listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, everybody, stand by. Stand by, everybody. We'll be back in just a minute here. Stand by, everybody. All right, everybody, share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. We'll be back in just a minute. Okay, I want to try to get this screen share working. Stand by. Stand by, everybody. We'll be back in just a minute here. Stand by. We'll be back from break in just a minute here. Man, what the hell is this? Okay, so this is her on East Side, West Side. This is in the late 60s, early 70s. It's TV show. Wearing a short afro. Let me see something here. Application video. Oh, here we go. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, January 28th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well. We were talking about Cicely Tyson right before the break. I'm also going to go to this interview that she just did, January 26th, one of her last interviews. And she was talking about her new book just came out, her memoir, Just As I Am. Okay, so I want to go back to her history, okay? And I just showed a picture of her on the TV show East Side, West Side, and she had a short afro, okay? And this show is in the late 60s, early 70s, and we got to see her every week. And her standard of beauty was breaking the norms. It was breaking the norms of what Hollywood was telling us was beautiful. Okay, we get to see this darker skinned African American woman with a short afro each week. Okay, and these are images that were making us proud also. All right, so let me go back to this article here. So she was born December 19th, 1924. After graduating from the Charles Evans High School in Manhattan in 1951, Tyson landed a position as a secretary for the American Red Cross. Unsatisfied with the work, she enrolled in the Barbara Watson Modeling School to pursue a career in modeling. By the late 1950s, Cicely Tyson had become one of the top Black models in the United States. Okay, so a lot of people know her for her acting career, but she started out as a model. Okay, by the late 1950s, Cicely Tyson had become one of the top Black models in the United States. Her face appeared on the cover of African American oriented magazines such as Ebony and Jet. While waiting in the offices of Ebony magazine, she was encouraged to audition for a role in the film The Spectrum, which discussed conflicts between dark and light-skinned African Americans. Cicely Tyson won the role, but The Spectrum was never completed due to financial problems. This experience, however, persuaded Cicely Tyson that she should pursue a career in acting. Okay. Now, she began her career on the stage. In 1961, she appeared in the original cast of French playwright Jean Genet's The Blacks, which became the longest running non-musical of the decade with over 1,400 performances. All right, over 1,400 performances. In 1963, at the insistence of Academy Award winning actor George C. Scott, Cicely Tyson became a part of the cast of East Side, West Side, of which George C. Scott was the star. Okay, so this is the TV show East Side, West Side. Okay, and we got to see her every week do her thing. On this TV show, and it's in black and white. She's wearing a short afro, and this is at a time when we're pushing back against these European standards of beauty. Okay, this is at a time when we are pushing back against these European standards of beauty. This was on the mid to late 60s. This picture here, I'm going to show you this picture here. This is from 1963 on the set of, this is from East Side, West Side, for those who are watching on our social media platforms. Let's look at this here, okay? So at a time when we're seeing blonde hair, blue-eyed women, straight hair, light skin, things like this. This is even before, this is 63. Let me see. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the credits here. This says Cicely Tyson is shown here in a scene from the CBS television program East Side, West Side on May 24th, 1963. Okay. This is even before the Black Power movement starts. And she has this short afro. So we're seeing these images we're seeing these images breaking the mold of what has been shown to us as the standard of beauty. All right. So she begins her career in TV on East Side, West Side, okay, which George C. Scott was the star of. By the mid 1960s and early 1970s, Cicely Tyson was a frequent guest star on television, appearing in I Spy. So we know Bill Cosby was on I Spy, Bill Cosby and Robert Culp, Naked City, The Nurses, The Bill Cosby Show, and a number of other programs. The Bill Cosby Show was a TV show that Bill Cosby had before the Cosby Show. On the Bill Cosby Show, he was a high school physical education teacher. Okay, on the Bill Cosby Show, I remember that also. All right, and she appeared on that show as well. Now, Cicely Tyson's movie career progressed more slowly. Like many African American performers of her generation, Cicely Tyson was leery of the blaxploitation films of the era and held out for a film that promoted positive images of African Americans. And I appreciate that because, you know, I think we all watch some of those movies and we sit back and we look, you know, the Mac and all different things like this, you know, some of the Dolomite movies. And we sit back and it's like, yeah, this don't really present us like in the best light, you know. So so when you have somebody who is saying, I'm not going to go that route. I don't want to participate in that. I don't want to project negative stereotypical images of my people. Okay. Then I totally understand that because we have to be cognizant of the images that are projected of ourselves because those images are projected around the world. Power is the ability to define and shape reality and have other people accept your definition of reality as if it were their own. Okay. Power is the ability to define and shape reality and have other people accept your definition of reality as if it were their own. So she was on, I saw her a number of times in Jet magazine. Here's a picture of her on the cover of Jet magazine. I'm not sure which year this is. Cicely Tyson makes it big at last. She's wearing the braids, the cornrows. It looks like 1963 from this post here from Working Out the Kinks on WOK series on Twitter. 1963 actress Cicely Tyson wears cornrows on the television drama East Side, West Side. Okay. So, you know, she's doing this stuff here. We hadn't seen things like this before. We had seen Mage, we had seen Amos and Andy. You know, she's doing this on television, saying, I'm not going to play these stereotypical roles. All right, let's continue. We're going to leave this picture up for a minute here. All right, let's continue. So she refused to play she was leery of playing in the blaxploitation films. Now and she held out for a film that promoted positive images of African Americans. That film came in 1972 when she was cast in the role of Rebecca Morgan in the movie Sounder. I remember seeing Sounder also with Paul Winfield in Sounder. Now, little known cinematic movie fact. She's co-starred with Paul Winfield in the movie Sounder. And then in the 1977 movie, 77-78 movie King, she played opposite Paul Winfield. Paul Winfield portrayed Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and she portrayed Coretta Scott King once again. Okay. So in 1972, she was cast in the role of Rebecca Morgan in the movie Sounder. The film examined the life of an African-American family in the Depression era South with dignity and compassion. Cicely Tyson's performance garnered positive reviews from critics, and she was nominated for both an Academy Award and a Golden Globe Award. In 1974, Cicely Tyson broke new ground for African-American actors when she received an Emmy Award for her portrayal of the character of Jane Pittman, based on a novel written by Ernest J. Gaines, The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. And how many of you all have seen that movie? Go back and they may have it on YouTube. You could probably watch it on Netflix, hopefully. And I remember watching it when it originally aired, The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. Now, this was a fictitious character, but she was a former slave. And it chronicles her through the civil rights movement and being involved in fighting for desegregation and things like this. And there was a picture here. I was going through doing research, preparing for this show. There's a picture here. We'll see if we could pull it up. And at the end of the movie, okay, spoiler alert, but I mean, hell, the movie 50 years old. I mean, but this is spoiler alert. At the end of the movie, they show her being able to drink water from a white water fountain. You know, whites only water fountain. Okay. Let me see if we could pull this picture up here from Autobiography, Miss Jane Pittman. But that was a very, very important role, and it chronicled history. Even though it's a fictitious character, okay, it chronicled history. Let's see here. Let's do it like this. We'll find that. When I was looking at that early, and I'm having problems doing the screen share with the pictures. I spent an hour going through and finding, and then so we're going to share them a different way, okay? But check out the Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. Now, her performance made her one of the premier actresses of her generation. And I remember we talked about, so when you have powerful movies like this that deal with history, okay, what happens is that they then become topics in the classroom. And I remember this taking place with the Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. I remember this taking place with the movie King, where she portrayed Coretta Scott King. I remember us watching the movie at home and then talking about the movie in the classroom. Okay. And you can teach history from that. Even because the children oftentimes are interested in seeing things like that. So then you can take elements from that and create a history lesson from it. All right. And somebody said, Kathy said she had no idea she was married to Miles Davis. Yes, she was married to Miles Davis for a few years, short period of time. She was married to Miles Davis also. Okay. And he was, he was abusive. It was a bad marriage, but she loved him. Okay, so her performance made her one of the premier actresses of her generation. Now, Cicely Tyson appeared as Coretta Scott King in the 1978 movie King, opposite actor Paul Winfield, who, once again, she was in Sounder with. He played her husband in Sounder. Other acclaimed movie roles include Roots, the Marva Collins story, because I didn't hear a lot of people talk about the Marva Collins story. That's another one right there. Marva Collins, this brilliant African-American female educator who created her own school, and there's hundreds of children, maybe thousands, who she helped to educate, and she was able to deal with children who largely have been written off. Okay, so I remember seeing the Marva Collins story also. Another movie she was in, When No One Would Listen, and also The Oldest Living Confederate Widow Tells All. Now, the latter performance in 1994 earned her a third Emmy Award, The Oldest Living Confederate Widow Tells All. In 1994, Cicely Tyson starred in the short-lived television series Sweet Justice, opposite Little House on the Prairie star Melissa Gilbert. Other performances that year included Because of Winn-Dixie and Diary of a Mad Black Woman. So that's a Tyler Perry movie. Now, what Tyler Perry did in putting Cicely Tyson in his movies is that he introduced Cicely Tyson to a whole nother generation. And she brought I think she brought a quality. She brought a, how should I say this? She brought a, I don't want to say it legitimatized the movies, but it was some type of authenticity that she brought. And I remember also it was a movie, Cicely Tyson and Maya Angelou were in the same. I think that was Medea's Family Reunion that they were in with Blair Underwood, my frat brother Blair Underwood. He's playing the bad guy. I don't like seeing Blair Underwood. I never met Blair Underwood before, but from what I hear about him, he's a nice guy. I don't like seeing him play the bad guys though. That's one thing. Tyler Perry. Why the dark skinned brothers got to play the bad guy, and the light skinned brothers are the good guys? What's that about? So here's another picture. Cicely Tyson with braids, as beautiful as she wants to be. Right. I'm not even sure which year this is from. I spent time picking out these pictures, and I can't show them to you. I have to show them to you from the internet for some reason. We'll figure this out. This caption here, this is from Girls United. Did you know Cicely Tyson was the first Black actress to wear her natural hair on television? She appeared on the 1960s show East Side, West Side with a cropped afro. She did. Yeah. I mean, so I think one thing we should do, talk to elders who were watching TV at that time. Imagine somebody 15, an African-American woman, 15, 16 years old at that time, or even in the early 20s, and seeing this African-American woman on a television show in your living room wearing a short afro, getting paid. Okay, she's not a maid. Okay, getting paid. All right, let's continue here. We have any callers, Shakita? Are the phone lines working? Everybody's pretty quiet. Y'all okay? All right. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a quick question or comment. Once again, this is the Michael Imhotep. This is the African History Network show for those just tuning in. Also, if you like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network. $ TheAHNShow through Cash App. $ TheAHNShow through Cash App. Then also through PayPal, paypal.me/TheAHNShow. That helps us keep broadcasting 6 nights a week and keep doing the research, stay on the air, etc. All right. Because we were doing for 4 years on 9-10 a.m. We were doing Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Then as of October 12th, 2020, we started doing Monday through Friday. So we're here 6 nights a week, 6 days a week. All right, let's continue. So fiercely guarded. We saw in the Tyler Perry movies. We saw in Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Now, it was also during the year 1994 that she was honored at Oprah Winfrey's Legends Ball. Now, fiercely guarded about her privacy, little is known of Cicely Tyson's personal life. She was briefly married to the late trumpeter Miles Davis in 1981. Now, this from blackpast.org is before her memoir came out. Her memoir just came out a few days ago. So in her memoir, she's talking about her personal life. But prior to that, she was more guarded about her personal life. The couple divorced in 1988. Okay. She is also committed to community involvement. She founded the Dance Theater of Harlem along with Arthur Miller. Dance Theater of Harlem. She is also a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. All right. Now, in 2010, Cicely Tyson was the recipient of the Spingarn Medal from the NAACP. 3 years later, in 2013, Cicely Tyson received a Tony Award for her Broadway performance of Carrie Watts in The Trip to Bountiful. She won the Drama Desk Award as well as the Outer Critics Circle Award for the role also. So I want to go, what we're going to do, Shakita, let's go to this clip from NBC News. Cicely Tyson, award-winning actor, dies at 96. Let's go to this clip.
Tyson captivated and inspired audiences on stage and in film.
Now! Starting now!
She made her mark in groundbreaking productions. Sound Roots.
We'll give him a very good life.
And the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, and combined her commitment to civil rights with her career. But Tyson was always an unlikely star. Born in 1924 in Harlem, she grew up in poverty, the daughter of Caribbean immigrants, deeply rooted in the church. When she quit her job as a secretary to pursue modeling and acting, her mother kicked her out of the house.
She really thought I was going to live in a den of iniquity, because that's what show business meant to her.
But Tyson shot to fame, first as a model, and became one of the first Black actors in a recurring role on television in NBC's East Side, West Side. Her career was defined by a decision she made early on.
As an actress, I should be able to play any type role. I felt that during the latter part of the 1960s, it was a luxury that I could not afford. And so I chose to do more positive roles.
She was the first Black actor to win an Emmy for Best Actress in a Drama. At 56, she married jazz legend Miles Davis, one of Hollywood's hottest couples. She later described their 7-year marriage as tumultuous. But she focused on her work. In 2013, she won a Tony for Best Leading Actress in a Play in The Trip to Bountiful.
Pick that recipe up, you please. Get up, Bill.
Later, the highest civilian award, the Medal of Freedom. A tribute to a woman who played her part as an uncompromising role model, on stage and off. Rahima Ellis, NBC News, New York.
Okay. All right. That was from NBC News, so you can check that out, NBCnews.com. And when we talked about the Dance Theater of Harlem, that's Arthur Mitchell. She founded the Dance Theater of Harlem along with Arthur Mitchell. Okay, not Arthur Miller. I want to go, so we have this picture up here. This is Cicely Tyson. The Governor's Award is given to motion picture legends each year who somehow have gone their entire years without winning an Academy Award. Let me see. This is last night was the Governor's Award, aka the honorary Oscars. People gathered. Okay, and this is from 2018, November 2018. She received the Governor's Award also. We have this picture of Cicely Tyson. I want to look at some tweets here from some celebrities. I was pulling this up. So as I said at the beginning of the show, she portrayed Kunta Kinte's mother in Roots, the original Roots, 1977. And you got to see them in Africa before Europeans came and disrupted African history, African culture, African ways of life, as Dr. John Henrik Clarke used to say. I want to go to this tweet here. It's from LeVar Burton's Twitter page. He said, this one cuts deep. At I Am Cicely Tyson was my first screen mom. Elegance, warmth, beauty, wisdom, style, and abundant grace. She was as regal as they come, an artist of the highest order. I will love her forever. R.I.P., rest in peace. And once again, 1977, Roots, this is something we talked about in school as well. Okay, and we got to see them in Africa. We got to see African civilization. There were no cannibals. These were dignified, sophisticated people who had a culture, had a spiritual system, had an African way of life. We got to see that depicted. Also, Maya Angelou was in Roots, also the first episode when showing them in Africa before Kunta Kinte is captured. All right, so this is LeVar Burton. Follow him on Twitter at LeVar Burton on Twitter. Then I want to go to, I was looking at some different tweets here. There was one from Oprah. And Oprah was good friends with Cicely Tyson also. Let me see this here. We'll go to the phone lines. While I pull this up, let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Erica, line 1. Erica, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from. Thanks for holding.
Thank you. This is Erica Watson. I'm calling from Tampa, Florida.
Oh, okay, in Tampa, Florida. How you doing, Erica?
And I'm doing well. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to give my words about how I feel about Cicely Tyson. I just wanted to say that as a dark-skinned young girl, I think I probably was exposed to her for the first time in Roots.
Mm-hmm.
And just knowing that someone that beautiful and classy, and she exudes to me dignity and character and integrity. And I honestly viewed her as a mother figure, an auntie, definitely some type of extended family member. So that's how I feel about her. And every time I see her, every time I saw her, just the richness of her skin helped me to feel more confident in who I am, and she definitely made a difference and an impact in my life.
Okay, excellent, excellent. All right, how'd you find out about the show tonight, Erica?
This is Erica Watson. I've been watching Rockin' with You for years.
Oh, okay, okay. Erica Watts. Oh, okay, Erica. Zeta Phi Beta?
Yes.
Okay, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Erica. Okay, that Erica. Okay. All right, thanks for calling in. All right, thank you. All right.
Yeah, not a problem. Have a good night.
All right, you too. All right, take care. Thanks. Okay, let's go to line 2. Let's go to Chuck. Chuck, welcome to the African History Network show. Thanks for holding. Tell us where you're calling from, Chuck. Do we have Chuck? Charles? Chuck?
Let me start right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey, I want to tell you to keep doing what you're doing. You're doing it well, man.
Oh, thank you.
I'm astonished by this what she was doing, man.
You said you were what?
Yeah, you killed me in on it.
Oh, okay.
You making me think about hey, check this out. You making me think about, I'm going to quote Hattie McDaniel, though. She say, I'd rather play a maid for $500 a week than be one for $50 a week. That sister was on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can talk about a few more, but I've had to chime in, man. You put
Right.
that information, man.
Okay.
What you got with that.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
All right, Chuck. Thanks.
Give me a prayer.
Say it again.
Right on.
Okay. No problem, man. Keep listening. Thanks for calling in, Chuck. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I want to do this before we run out of time here. Shakita, we're going to go to clip 1. This is from January 26th, 2021, just a few days ago, one of Cicely Tyson's last interviews, talking about her new memoir. She was interviewed on CBS This Morning by Gayle King. Let's go to this clip.
Winning actress Cicely Tyson was starred in countless films, TV shows, and Broadway plays. They include Roots, remember that? Trip to Bountiful, I saw that. The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, I watched it again over the weekend. And now in a new memoir, out today, it's called, look at this cover, guys, Just As I Am. I love this picture of her. The 96-year-old Tyson is opening up about her very impressive career and her personal life. So we met her in Harlem at the Abyssinian Baptist Church. That was her home church before the pandemic. And she talks to us about her legendary career, her love life, it's a doozy, and her process behind choosing roles.
Whenever I'm offered a script, what I'm interested in when I get it is why me. Who was that character and why did they want me to play it? And when I get to the point where I feel like her skin has fitted my arm or my mind, then I know there's something about her.
As a little girl, what were your dreams?
I was a very shy child. If you got 15 minutes of words out of me, you got plenty. You know, I was a thinker. I sucked this finger until I was 12 years old. That's why I have these buck teeth.
Born in 1924 to West Indian parents, Cicely Tyson recounts her extraordinary life in her new memoir, Just As I Am.
I am an observer of human nature and the dreamer of audacious dreams.
The journey to stardom was not an easy one for Tyson, who became pregnant when she was 17 and had a short marriage that lasted just over 2 years. Tyson began her acting career as a single mother, a choice that brought conflict at home. Were you surprised, Cicely, that your mother actually kicked you out of the house because you wanted to be an actress?
Oh, she told me I couldn't live there and do that. Suddenly I found something that I loved to do, and I had a child to support.
So you weren't thinking, when I grow up, I want to be an actress?
No, my mother, I don't know what she wanted me to be. She thought that I was going to live in the den of iniquity, because we grew up in the slums, okay? Lots of prostitutes walking up and down the street, and that's all she knew about movies.
Her mother eventually came around, and their connection is a strong one to this day, especially in this church.
And I feel that her spirit is here. And so I bought this pew in her name.
So this was a way to honor her.
Put great writing to work.
Okay, was that a good? Can you skip past that ad?
Okay. Debut at 31 in the 1956 film Care of Gold. Shortly after that, she enrolled in an acting school run by Paul Mann, a well-known acting coach. She found herself alone with him after her first class, and she writes about a traumatic encounter.
He said, "Excuse me, Miss Tyson, I'd like to talk to you." So I turned around and came back, and before I know it, he pulled me down.
He was touching you and groping?
Yes. No, what he wanted me to do was something worse than that. I thought about the whole incident when I got home. And, I never shed a tear about that until this moment.
All these years later, it still affects you that way.
The whole thought that you could go out innocently to achieve something, and it turns out to be something so vulgar and coarse and demeaning to you as a young Black woman. But I made up my mind then that I went there for a reason, and that reason had not changed.
It sounds like a Me Too incident before we were even calling it Me Too. And some people would say, but why did you go back? And to that you say,
I went back to get what I was told I needed in order to achieve what I wanted. And I think of the many young Black women who go through that and are devastated by it, and it kills their dream. I was not going to let that happen to me.
All right, hey, pause it right there, Shakita.
Determination.
Okay, pause it right there. All right, so we're out of time here on Anthony on the Superstation WFDF. Those watching on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, and on Twitter, The AHN Show on Twitter. Keep watching. We're going to keep broadcasting. We'll play the rest of that clip and a little more information for you. If you like this type of information, you could donate to the African History Network, $ The AHN Show through Cash App, $ The AHN Show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/The AHN Show, or at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. That helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting. Remember, right now, it's correct wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Stay tuned for Pastor Greg Davis. Peace. All right, stand by, everybody. All right, we're going to keep going. African American business owners, post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. I'll be working on commercials this weekend. Current promotion, buy 1 month, get 1 month free. You'll get 200 commercials in 30 days. And the commercials run, we rebroadcast shows all throughout the day on our social media platforms. So your video commercial that you can either send us or we can create for you. People will see that when we rebroadcast, and the audio podcast of our shows. Your commercial play in the audio podcast of our shows. We're on 9 different audio podcast platforms, including iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, FM Player, TuneIn, etc. Okay, I want to keep going with this clip here from CBS this morning. This is one of her last interviews. This is from January 26th, 2021. Okay. Hollywood legend Cicely Tyson recounts life, career, and new memoir. And she was interviewed by Gail King. Okay, we're going to go back to this. How's everybody doing? And then everybody, be sure to follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. And then also on our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep, and turn on notifications so you know when we go live. Let's go back to this clip.
But I made up my mind. Turned out to be something so vulgar and coarse and demeaning to you as a young Black woman. But I made up my mind then that I went there for a reason. And that reason had not changed.
It sounds like a Me Too incident before we were even calling it Me Too. And some people would say, but why did you go back? And to that you say,
I went back to get what I was told I needed in order to achieve what I wanted. And I think of the many young Black women who go through that and are devastated by it, and it kills their dream. I was not going to let that happen to me.
Through her sheer determination, her talent blossomed and landed Tyson the headlining role of Rebecca in Sounder. You got your low-level job, Mr. Sheriff. A 1972 film about a Black sharecropper family. And a conversation with a white journalist about the movie, which Tyson defined her purpose and her calling. So you're promoting Sounder. A reporter said to you
that he felt a bit of bigotry in himself while he was watching the movie. When I asked him why so, he said, I was uncomfortable about your older son referring to his father as daddy. I said, do you have children? What do they call you? He said, they call me daddy. And I thought, my God, this man is thinking that we're not human beings. And I made up my mind that I could not afford the luxury of just being an actress, and that I would use my career as my platform.
namely, you want Black people to be seen as human beings.
That's right.
After playing over 100 roles on the stage and screen, Tyson has won 3 Emmys, a Tony, and an Oscar.
This is the culmination of all those years of have and have-nots.
But beyond her public success, her memoir documents her love story with jazz icon Miles Davis. They were married for 7 years, but their romance spanned decades. Friends always wondered, why in the world are you with Miles Davis? Because you're right. He was unfaithful. Mm-hmm. He was abusive. Mm-hmm. You said Miles needed to be saved from himself, and you needed someone to save.
Well, listen, people who hurt, it's always the person that is closest to them that they hurt. Mm-hmm. And I was in love with him. He was a beautiful human being.
But you know what? On his deathbed, he wanted you to know that he was
sorry. Tell Sicily I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Was he the love of your life?
Yes.
Was he? But did you think you could never find love like that again?
I haven't.
You haven't. Have you been looking?
No.
I'll ask you this. What does it feel like to be 96 and a legend? Miss Legend.
I'm amazed every single day. Yes, that's why I'm still here. My life became not what I expected. I had no idea that I would touch anybody.
When the time comes, what do you want us to remember about you? I could have talked to her all afternoon. But when we talked about Miles, I love this. She said, hostility and devotion can live side by side. I love that. Sometimes love is not always born of logic. And when I said, what do you really need? What do people need? She said, well, I will talk as a Black woman. You need cayenne pepper, a stash of cash, and a quiet place. Yeah. She's happy to say that she has all three. All three.
She's in my eyes, she's always had incredible dignity and resilience, and you've always felt it whenever she spoke.
She has, and she said, I grew up, people calling me nappy-headed and shy and withdrawn, but now you see her. She's very beautiful. She's regal. She said early on in her career, they told her that she should get braces for the teeth. She says are bucked, and she said, no, I like how I look.
Yeah.
She has such a deliberate and powerful way of speaking. Each word is just set down like a sidewalk, and you come to the end, and it's gorgeous. There's so many ways to take inspiration from her life, but I'm surprised that she was shy. She found acting as a way to speak through others. It's a gorgeous idea.
Yeah, she will say, I'm still kind of shy. I go, no, you're not. She goes, no, actually I am. I spend a lot of time by myself. She has a small circle of friends. Tyler Perry's a very good friend of hers. I meant to say to Tyler's in the book, she calls Tyler one of her jewels. Yeah. So she has a small group of friends that she keeps very close. Yeah. Oh, and I said, do you want other roles? She goes, yes. Somebody approaches me about a role. Yes. It's better than sitting at home making butt prints.
I love that.
We've all done that.
That's a philosophy we all need to follow.
All right. So that was, I'm trying to see here. This is okay. So that was from CBS this morning, and I'm trying to share this. I'm trying to see why this is freezing up. This shouldn't be freezing up like this. Okay, that's from CBS this morning. That was from January 26, 2021. And I'm trying to share this other picture here. So, a lot of people didn't know she was married to Miles Davis. Okay, so stand by. Okay, so once again, Cicely Tyson, legendary actress who broke stereotypes, has passed away at age 96. New York Times has a big write-up on her. Big article on Cicely Tyson. Cicely Tyson, on actress who shattered stereotypes. Cicely Tyson, an actress who shattered stereotypes, dies at 96. In a remarkable career of many decades, she refused to take parts that demeaned Black people and won a Tony, Emmys, and an honorary Oscar. Okay. Now, I heard Gayle King said she won one Oscar award. So I need to check that. But in a remarkable career of 7 decades, Cicely Tyson broke ground for serious Black actors by refusing to take parts that demeaned Black people. By refusing to take parts that demean Black people. She urged Black colleagues to do the same, and often went without work. She was critical of films and television programs that cast Black characters as criminals, servile, or immoral, and insisted that African Americans, even if poor or downtrodden, should be portrayed with dignity. I totally agree with that 100%. And this is something that we saw in her career. Okay? This is something that we saw in her career consistently. The roles that she portrayed were roles that we could be proud of. And see, and we have to understand the power of imagery and how these images, these TV shows and movies that are produced in this country are exported around the world, and they shape the way people think about a targeted group of people. Your thoughts create feelings, your feelings create actions and behaviors, your actions and behaviors create results. Okay. So a lot of what the world knows about African Americans largely comes from the media, and a lot of it is not good. Power is the ability to define and shape reality and have other people accept your definition of reality as if it were their own. So that's why we have to be people who understand their history, people who have high self-esteem. They're more guarded about the images that they allow of themselves to be projected because they understand the impact of this. Originally, before this story broke of Cicely Tyson passing away, one of the things I was going to talk about on today's show, and we'll do it Friday or Sunday, is the Afro-Germans who were killed in the Holocaust, because January 27th was National Holocaust Remembrance Day. But oftentimes when we talk about the Holocaust, they don't talk about the Afro-Germans who were killed, and part of those who were killed, and the Afro-Germans who were part of the sterilization program, who were sterilized by the Nazis. There's something like 20,000 of them at least. They get left out of the conversation. But most African Americans don't know that there were Afro-Germans who were killed by the Nazis and were sterilized. So we don't know to put ourselves into that story, into that history also. But other people who know their history, they tell the story and oftentimes leave us out of the history. Okay? So what you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. So that's I'm not saying that other people should not be able to tell their stories, but we have to understand our history, so we put ourselves into that historical context when those conversations take place about the Holocaust. Okay, we need to study, we need to understand Auschwitz and the Nuremberg laws and things like this, and understand the role that the U.S. played, because Hitler was looking at the Jim Crow laws of the U.S. and modeling the Nuremberg laws after the Jim Crow laws here in the U.S., even though you're going to have in World War II, the U.S. part of the Allied forces fighting against the Nazis, fighting against the Axis powers, fighting against the Nazis. So we have to understand that history. The sterilization programs, they're looking at the sterilization programs here in the U.S., the eugenics movement here in the U.S., and there are about 31 state-sponsored eugenics programs, like in Mississippi. Fannie Lou Hamer was sterilized as part of the Mississippi sterilization program, and they were targeting, at first they were targeting poor whites and poor African Americans, and then they're targeting people who they felt were more prone to be impoverished, mentally ill. They labeled them as imbeciles, things like this. And then over time, it's going to shift more towards sterilizing African Americans more and less white people. North Carolina had one. Okay. And was it North? It was North Carolina, or let me see, which one was that? I think it was North Carolina had the sterilization program. Let me see here. Yeah, North Carolina. North Carolina had a sterilization program from like the 30s up until the 1970s, something like that. And they ended up paying out reparations to the survivors. Okay. They were the first state to really acknowledge the sterilization program that they had, and they actually paid out reparations. All right. There's an article, let's see here. ABCnews.com has an article dealing with this. North Carolina Senate denies funds for sterilization victims. That was an early one. Then they paid out for reparations. Let me see here. Forced sterilization. let's see. Yeah. So we see all this tied together. But when we talk about the Holocaust, we have to understand our history as well and put ourselves into that conversation. Okay, how's everybody doing? Okay, so her chiseled face and willowy frame, striking even in her 90s, became familiar to millions of people in more than 100 films, television, and stage roles, including some that had traditionally been given only to white actors or actresses. She won 3 Emmy Awards and many awards from civil rights and women's groups, and at 88 became the oldest person to win a Tony Award for her 2013 Broadway role in a revival of Horton Foote's The Trip to Bountiful. At age 93, she won an honorary Oscar at age 93, and was inducted into the American Theater Hall of Fame in 2018 and into the Television Hall of Fame in 2020. She also won a Career Achievement Peabody Award in 2020. So she was working right up to the end, okay? Despite the gathering force of the civil rights movement in the 1960s, there were few substantial roles for talented, relatively unknown African-American actresses like Cicely Tyson. She appeared in Broadway plays, television episodes, and minor movie roles before playing Portia, a supporting but notable part in the 1968 film version of Carlton McCullers' The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. But in 1972, in a film called Sounder, she found what she was looking for, a leading role with dignity. It was as Rebecca, the wife of a Louisiana sharecropper played by Paul Winfield, who is imprisoned in 1933 for stealing food for his children. This is during the Great Depression. She rises to the challenge, cleaning houses, tilling fields, sweltering under the sun in a worn dress and braided cornrows. A Black woman whose excruciating beauty lies in toil and poverty. The story, quote, the story in Sounder is part of our history, a testimony to the strength of humankind, Cicely Tyson told the New York Times after receiving rave reviews and an Oscar nomination for Best Actress. She said, quote, our whole Black heritage is that of struggle. Our whole Black heritage is that of struggle, pride, and dignity. The Black woman has never been shown on the screen this way before. In that role as Rebecca in Sounder, that's the type of role she had been waiting for. Okay. At a time when this is the 1972, so this is at the beginning of the Blaxploitation movies. But she didn't want to play stereotypical roles. She wanted to play roles that had a dignity to them. Even though you're playing a sharecropper, that's still a type of story that needs to be told during the Great Depression. In 1974, Cicely Tyson stunned a national television audience with her Emmy Award-winning portrayal of a former slave in the CBS special, The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. And like I said, I remember when that came on the TV. When that came on TV, CBS, The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. So the made-for-TV movie was adapted from the novel by Ernest J. Gaines. Born into slavery before the Civil War, Miss Jane Pittman survives more than a century to see the civil rights movement of the 1960s. So this was a fictitious woman, okay? But it was, I don't know the whole background story of Ernest J. Gaines writing this novel, but it was probably some type of composite character where he's taking elements from real life African-American women, what they did, over the course of their lives and putting it into the embodiment of Miss Jane Pittman. But she lived to be, in the story, she lived to be over 100 years old. Now, this reminds me, as we talked about on yesterday's show, how y'all doing? Okay. On our social media platforms, LeBar, Eric, we got KT Washington, Cedric Miller. How's everybody doing? Erica. On yesterday's show, we talked about Zara Cully. Zara Cully was Mother Jefferson on the Jeffersons. Zara Cully died in 1978, but she was born in 1892. 1892. She was about 86 years old, I think it was, when she passed away. Okay, Zara Cully. Zara Cully was born 3 years before Frederick Douglass died. Okay, I want you to understand this. So Zara Cully was kind of like a real life Miss Jane Pittman. Zara Cully was born 3 years before Frederick Douglass died. Frederick Douglass died in 1895. She was born 27 years after slavery ended. When we watch the Jeffersons, as I said on yesterday's show, I'll never look at the Jeffersons the same way again when I see Zara Cully on the Jeffersons. I mean, she was probably like a real life Miss Jane Pittman, because I don't know for certain, but it's quite possible her parents were former slaves. And if her parents weren't, probably her grandparents were. It's quite possible her parents could tell her about what happened during the Civil War because they saw it. It's possible her parents could tell her about, at least hearing about, speeches Frederick Douglass gave while he was alive, because they were alive when Frederick Douglass is alive. So Zara Cully, in many ways, is like a real life Miss Jane Pittman. So at 110 years old, in the story, Miss Jane Pittman, okay, at 110 years old, Miss Jane Pittman tells her story, the searing experience of a Black woman in the South. Then in her only gesture of protest, she sips from a whites-only drinking fountain. Now, keep in mind, Cicely Tyson also portrayed Harriet Tubman in the made-for-TV movie A Woman Called Moses. She portrayed Coretta Scott King, Marva Collins, Kunta Kinte's mother, all right, and portrayed Harriet Tubman. That's a bad sister right there. Preparing for her metamorphosis, Cicely Tyson visited nursing homes to study the manifestations of old age, the frail shoulders and shaking hands, the unfocused, sparkling eyes and slurred speech, the struggle for names and important thoughts just beyond reach. See, that's understanding the craft. You got people, reality TV stars, that think they're just going to become actors and actresses. I'm not talking about the ones who study the craft and get an acting coach and take it seriously. I'm talking about the ones that think they can just do YouTube videos and go do star in movies or something like that. This is studying the craft. This is actually preparing for this role of Miss Jane Pittman. Quote, Cicely Tyson transforms that role into the kind of event for which awards are made, John Connor wrote in the Times. Okay, now, just a second here. Let me, this is freezing up. Let me try to correct. Okay, so we should be back. All right. How's everybody doing? We should be back. Okay. So y'all should be able to see me. All right, good. because it was freezing up. It stayed connected, which is good. It's better than the old laptop. I had to break down about a new laptop, so this one is much better. Okay. All right, let's see here. I want to show you this picture here. All right. How's everybody doing? At least we stay connected. I'll tell you that. All right, let's look at this. This is another picture of Miss Cicely Tyson. Okay, and this is that's from Sounder. That picture right there is from Sounder. This is from BET.com. Black Girls Rock. That's from Sounder also. That's from Roots. And that's Maya Angelou as well, both in Roots. Maya Angelou, if I remember correctly, I think that was Kunta Kinte's grandmother in Roots. All right, and this one here, Mama Flora's family. Yeah, I totally forgot about Mama Flora's family. I totally forgot about that movie. Okay, so Cicely Tyson transforms that role into the kind of event for which awards are made. John O'Connor wrote in the New York Times, citing her passage from young innocence through cycles of age and maturity to shriveled, knowing antiquity. She absorbs herself completely into Miss Jane, in the process creating a marvelous blend of sly humor, shrewd perceptions, and innate dignity. All right, let's see here. There's some other pictures here. I had pulled out some, but it's not letting me show the ones that I pulled out. Okay, so we've got some other ones here, so just stand by. So I have to see why it's not. They were saved to my computer, and I was trying to show those, but they're not. It's not letting me share it. Okay, so Cicely Tyson later found other suitable television roles as Kunta Kinte's mother in the miniseries Roots, based on Alex Haley's novel Roots in 1977, as Coretta Scott King in the 1978 NBC miniseries King, about the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s final years, as Harriet Tubman, whose Underground Railroad spirited slaves to freedom in A Woman Called Moses in 1978, and as Chicago teacher devoted to poor children in the Marva Collins story in 1981. In 1994, she won a Supporting Actress Emmy for her portrayal of Castalia in the miniseries Oldest Living Confederate Widow Tells All. Now, for many Americans, Cicely Tyson was an idol of the Black is Beautiful movement, Regal in an African turban and kaftan, her face gracing the covers of Ebony, Essence, and Jet magazines. She was a vegetarian. She didn't drink alcohol. She was a runner, a mediator, and from 1981 to 1989, as we said, the wife of the jazz trumpeter and composer Miles Davis. Since the 1960s, she had inspired African-American women to embrace their own standards of beauty, including helping to popularize the Afro. the afro. So this sister was like I think she was way ahead of her time. I really do. We need more sisters like her. I would like to see now. I don't mean to start World War III, but I like to see a conversation between Cicely Tyson, Cardi B, and Megan Thee Stallion, and just see how that goes. I like to see a conversation between the three of them and see how it goes. Cicely Tyson, a woman of dignity, self-respect, who didn't want to play stereotypical images. I like to see a conversation between the three of them. Okay, so I'm not. But anyway, okay. I like here's conversation. Here's a conversation I want to see. Okay, some people may get mad at me. I don't give a damn. Okay, here's the conversation I want to see. I want to see Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion explaining why they made the song WAP to Cicely Tyson, and I want to hear Cicely Tyson's response. That's what I want to see. That's the conversation I want to see right there. That's must see TV. I want to see Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B explaining why they made the song WAP to Cicely Tyson, and I want to see her response. For those that don't know, WAP means wet ass punani, but they use a different word. That's the conversation I want to see. Okay, explain. She's 96 years. Explain to her why y'all did this. She turned down numerous stereotypical roles that she was getting paid for, so she can project dignity for our people. Now, I want you to explain to her why y'all made this song in this video. Why y'all did that? Okay. I ain't trying to start anything. I'm just saying. Stallion is slang from Houston. I know it's slang from Houston. Look up the word stallion in the dictionary. A stallion is a male horse that has not been castrated. That's what a stallion is. Now, what y'all do. I mean, I don't want to say what y'all, but that's what a stallion is. Now, you can call it whatever you want to. You can call a woman a stallion if you want to. But a stallion is a male horse that has not been castrated. You can put a wig and lipstick on a pig and call it a woman. It's still a pig. Okay. Look up the word stallion in the dictionary. Don't take my word for it.
Well, my story.
Proper documentation ends all conversation. Okay. So let's continue here. Let's continue here. And let me post this link here. That's from the interview with Gayle King. All right, let's continue. I was trying to pull up some other pictures here. Oh yeah, we got this one here. This here she's receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Presidential Medal of Freedom. This is when the Presidential Medal of Freedom actually meant something. Before Donald Trump started giving it out to a bunch of white supremacists and traitors and stuff like that. Let's look at this here. This is from 2016. President Barack Obama, who actually won the popular vote and the electoral college vote twice. He's given the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Cicely Tyson. This is back when it meant something. This is back before Rush Limbaugh got it. Okay, let's continue here. So for many African Americans, Cicely Tyson was an idol of the Black is Beautiful movement, regal in an African turban and caftan, her face gracing the covers of Ebony, Essence, and Jet magazine. Since the 1960s, she had inspired African-American women to embrace their own standards of beauty, including helping to popularize the Afro. Quote, she's our Meryl Streep, Vanessa Williams told Essence magazine in 2013. She was the person you wanted to be like in terms of an actress, in terms of the role models she got, and how serious, in terms of the roles she got, and how serious she took her craft. She still is. She's the standard. She's the epitome of the type of African-American actress that you want to be. Cicely Tyson eventually appeared in 29 films, at least 68 television series, miniseries, and single episodes, and 15 productions on and off Broadway, including Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright, and to be Young, Gifted, and Black in 1969. Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright was 1962. To Be Young, Gifted, and Black, 1969. In The Corn is Green in 1983, and Emlyn Williams' play set in Wales, Cicely Tyson received mixed reviews as Miss Moffat, an English school teacher in a coal mining town who awakens the minds of impoverished youngsters. Betty Davis and Katharine Hepburn played the part in earlier film and television adaptations. So here she's playing a role that traditionally went to white women. All right, let's see here. I wanted to pull up another picture here. And I love seeing her. I love seeing her with the cornrows, with the braids. I mean, that's just so powerful. Those are powerful pictures. Let's pull this up here. Those are powerful pictures, seeing her with the cornrows. But I'm trying to think who, okay, let's continue here. I was trying to think, besides Cicely Tyson, what other, Cicely Tyson, Michelle Obama, Myrlie Evers Williams, Medgar Evers' widow, is still alive. Myrlie Evers Williams is like the epitome of dignity and pride for African American women. I like to see a conversation between Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion explaining why they made WAP to Myrlie Evers Williams. Go research Myrlie Evers Williams. She's not talked about a lot. People will talk about Coretta Scott King and Betty Shabazz. Okay. And Medgar Evers, when they talk about Martin and Malcolm, Medgar Evers oftentimes gets left out of the conversation. He's assassinated in 1963 in Jackson, Mississippi. And his widow is still alive, Myrlie Evers Williams. I like to see that conversation. I'm just saying. Okay, she's 87 years old. She's born in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Myrlie Evers Williams. She's born in 1933. All right, let's continue here. So after a 3-decade absence from Broadway, Cicely Tyson returned in 2013 in a production of The Trip to Bountiful, playing Carrie Watts, an old woman also conceived as a white character who yearns to see her hometown before dying. Her performance won the Tony Drama Desk and Outer Critics Circle Awards. Quote, "It's been 30 years since I stood on stage. I really didn't think it would happen again in my lifetime, and I was pretty comfortable with that," Cicely Tyson said at the Tony Award ceremony. Quote, "Except that I had this burning desire to do just one more great role. I said I didn't want to be greedy. I just wanted one more." And she appeared with James Earl Jones for nearly 4 months in 2015 and 2016 in a Broadway revival of The Gin Game, Gin, The Gin Game, D.L. Colburn's Pulitzer Prize winning 1976 play about two elderly residents of a retirement home drawn together over a card game. Another brilliant actor, James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones, then 84 years old, and Cicely Tyson, then age 90, were on stage for virtually all of its 2-hour running time, as Charles Isherwood noted in a review for The Times. Quote, "These two superlative performers established beyond doubt, if we needed any reminding, that great talent is ageless and ever rewarding," he said. In January of 2021, when she was 96 years old, her memoir, Just As I Am, appeared. And in a pre-publication interview with the New York Times magazine, Cicely Tyson was asked if she had any advice for the young. She said, "It's simple. I try always to be I try always to be true to myself. I learned from my mom, don't lie ever, L-I-E, don't lie ever. No matter how bad it is, don't lie to me ever, okay? You will be happier that you told the truth. That has stayed with me, and it will stay with me for as long as I'm lucky enough to be here," end quote. Now, as I said before, she was born December 19th, 1924 in East Harlem. She was the youngest of 3 children of William and Theodosia Tyson, immigrants from the Caribbean island of Nevis. Her father was a carpenter and painter, and her mother was a domestic worker. Her parents separated when she was 10 years old, and the children were raised by a strict Christian mother who did not permit movies or going on dates. So check out the rest of this article here from New York Times. We already talked about some of her background as well. Cicely Tyson, an actress who shattered stereotypes, dies at 96. And let me see, we'll pull this up here. What do we have? We'll pull this up. Now, we talked about the Dance Theater of Harlem. She helped found the Dance Theater of Harlem after the 1968 assassination of Dr. King. In 1994, an East Harlem building where she lived as a child was named for her. It and 3 others were rehabilitated for 58 poor families. In 1995, a magnet school she supported in East Orange, New Jersey, was renamed the Cicely Tyson School. The long-running ABC legal drama, How to Get Away with Murder. How to Get Away with Murder. Okay, let me see. Can y'all still hear me? Okay, audio's back. Just a second, let me show you this here. All right, this is from the New York Times. So check out this article. Cicely Tyson, an actress who shattered stereotypes, dies in 96. In a remarkable career of many decades, she refused to take parts that demeaned Black people and won a Tony, Emmys, and an honorary Oscar. Another great picture of her. Another great picture of her with braids, with cornrows. Now, her later television roles included that of Ophelia Harkness in a half dozen episodes of the ABC legal drama, How to Get Away with Murder, for which she was nominated repeatedly for Emmy Awards, and other awards for outstanding guest or supporting actress from 2015 to 2019. And the role of Doris Jones in 3 episodes of House of Cards in 2016. 2016, President Barack Obama awarded her the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor, back when it meant something. She was always reticent about her age, charity work, and other personal details, like being a Goodwill ambassador for UNICEF in 1985 to 1986, and her 1981 marriage to Miles Davis, which ended in divorce in 1989. But she was adamant about dramatic roles. She said, quote, "We Black actresses have played so many," let me pull this up here. I want y'all to see this. So, because I really want to see a conversation. What's her name? Sukiana, who has the album called has a song Wolf Punani. She used another word for it. I really want to see a conversation between, I want to Google Sukiana and Wolf Punani. She used another word for it. And look at the cover of the album. Okay, you may have to sit down because you may pass out. I want to see a conversation between. I like to see her, Cicely Tyson, Sukiana, Megan Thee Stallion, and Cardi B. So so let's look at this right here, because this quote from her is very appropriate. Okay, let's blow this up for the people who have bad eyes. I want to make sure they see this. Where the hell did it go? But she was adamant about dramatic roles. Quote, "We Black actresses have played so many prostitutes and drug addicts and housemaids, always negative." She told Parade magazine in 1972, "I won't play that kind of characterless role anymore, even if I have to go back to starving," end quote. "I won't play that kind of characterless role anymore, even if I have to go back to starving." She'd rather maintain her dignity than to prostitute herself on camera. She would rather maintain her dignity and starve than prostitute herself on camera and demean and dehumanize African people for profit. Let me just leave this right here for a minute here. So in November 2018, a month before she turned 94 years old, Cicely Tyson received an honorary Oscar, a governor's award of the Academy of Motion Picture Actors and Sciences. In an emotional acceptance speech in Los Angeles, Cicely Tyson, whose highest accolade from the film industry had been her Oscar nomination in 1972. That was her highest accolade, an Oscar nomination in 1972. She paid tribute to her mother in that acceptance speech, who had opposed her plan for a career as an entertainer. She said, quote, "Mom, I know you didn't want me to do this, but I did, and here it is. I don't know that I don't know that I would cherish a better gift than this." She told the audience, "This is the culmination of all of the years of have and have not. This is the culmination of all of the years of have and have not." Okay, so watch the movies. Cicely Tyson. I'm not sure how many are on Netflix. Some may be on YouTube. Miss Jane Pittman, Autobiography, Miss Jane Pittman. Watch her in Roots. Watch her in Sounder. All this. Read about her. Study her. I'm gonna look at some more tweets here because I was looking at them earlier. We've got this one here from her Twitter page. Let's look at this one here. So this one was from, so you can follow her on Twitter. I follow her on Twitter at I am Cicely Tyson. This is from, somebody posted this 2:37 p.m. So I think this may have been her last post. This is January 28th, 2021. Excited to see my book, Just As I Am, on at Book Sparks 2021 Winter Reading Challenge. Let's kick off the new year with this winter's hottest book. So here's a copy of her book. Here's the front of the cover of her book, Cicely Tyson, Just As I Am. Okay, so we have that, and I was looking at some more. Let's see. I showed the one from LeVar Burton. I showed that one. Let me look here. There were some other ones I was looking at. There was one Oprah posted also. And I want to try to pull that one up. Let's see here. Can we get that one? Let me see. I may have to go to Oprah's Twitter page. I think I follow Oprah as well. Okay. So let's see. Oprah posted. I'm not logged in my Twitter account right now because I'm in Google Chrome. Let's look at this here. Oprah tweeted, Cicely Tyson, of all the times and experiences we shared together, this was one of my favorites, the weekend of the Legends Ball in 2005. The idea for the ball originated because I wanted to celebrate her and other remarkable Black women who carved a path and built a bridge for me and generations to follow. What a joy to honor her and feel her receive it. I loved her hat so much, she sent it to me afterwards. Cicely decided early on that her work as an actor would be more than a job. She used her career to illuminate the humanity of Black people. She used her career to illuminate the humanity of Black people. The roles she played reflected her values. She never compromised. Her life, so fully lived, is a testimony to greatness. Her life, so fully lived, is a testimony to greatness. Let me look at the, okay, so this is a picture, and that's the hat she's talking about. Okay. All right. So look, hey, we're gonna get out of here. We're way past time, and I think I'll be on Roland's show on Friday, unless he does a special and I get bumped again. We'll see. I'm not sure if he's gonna have a special format and not have his regular panel or what. So we'll see. But we'll be back here tomorrow for my show, the African History Network show. If you like this type of information, also you could donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App, then also through PayPal, paypal.me / the AHN show, paypal.me / the AHN show, and at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay, so it helps us to keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, etc. Okay, we'll post this information here. Helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting as well. And then let's be sure to listen to the podcast of our shows also. We're on 9 different audio podcast platforms. We're on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, Castbox, Acast, FM Player, TuneIn. So just search for wherever you get your podcast from. Just search for the African History Network show, the African History Network show, wherever you get your podcast from. All right. Okay, so hey, look, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow the people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. Remember, right now it's corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace.